The jungle was alive with the sound of birds calling through the thick air. Leaves swayed gently as sunlight slipped through the branches, landing in golden patches on the stones below. In the middle of this green sea stood the towering shape of a Mayan pyramid. Its stone steps had been worn by centuries of rain and wind, yet it still rose with quiet strength, as if guarding secrets that the world had long forgotten. At the base of the pyramid, a small team of archaeologists worked with careful patience. Their leader was a man named Rahul. He was not the strongest of the group, nor the loudest, but he carried with him a steady calmness that guided the others. Rahul had grown up not far from these ruins. As a child, he had listened to stories told by elders, stories of hidden tunnels and buried treasures waiting beneath the pyramids. Now, as an adult, he was determined to find the truth. Beside him worked a young woman named Lena. She was skilled at reading Mayan carvings, her hands often tracing the lines of ancient stone as if she could feel the thoughts of those who had carved them. Her eyes carried both curiosity and determination, the kind of spirit that would never rest until every riddle was solved. Together, Rahul and Lena led their small team deeper into the project. For weeks they had cleared vines, shifted stones, and studied the structure. Most of what they found were broken pottery shards, faded carvings, and collapsed tunnels filled with soil. Yet one morning, when the sun was still low and the jungle mist had not yet lifted, they stumbled upon something unusual. Behind a section of stone that seemed out of place, they noticed a thin crack. The crack was narrow, almost invisible, but when Lena pressed her hand against it, she felt a faint breath of air coming from the other side. "Rahul," she said softly, her voice filled with excitement. "There is space behind this wall." Rahul examined the crack closely. The stones here did not match the rest of the pyramid. They were smoother, and the mortar that held them together looked newer, as if someone had sealed this place deliberately. His heart began to beat faster. If the wall hid a chamber, it might contain something no one had seen for hundreds of years. The team set to work carefully. They used chisels and small hammers, taking their time so the stones would not collapse. Every strike echoed like a drum beat inside the hollow space. After hours of work, one stone finally loosened, and a cool breath of stale air escaped from the darkness beyond. The team paused, silent, listening to the air that had been trapped for centuries. Rahul gave a nod. "We are opening it," he said simply, though his voice carried the weight of the moment. One by one, the stones were pulled away, and at last, a small opening appeared. Dust and shadows filled the hole. Rahul lit a torch and held it inside. The flame flickered, casting light onto the walls of a hidden chamber. What they saw made every breath catch in their throats. The chamber was larger than they expected. Its ceiling arched high, supported by carved pillars decorated with glyphs. The walls were covered in paintings, bright colors still preserved after so many centuries. The images showed figures standing beneath stars, their arms raised as if reaching for something beyond the sky. Some figures carried strange objects that did not look like any tool known from Mayan culture. In the center of the chamber rested a stone pedestal, and on it sat a small cube that gleamed faintly in the torchlight. Lena stepped forward, her eyes wide. "This is not ordinary," she whispered. "The glyphs here, they are different." Rahul approached the pedestal. The cube was unlike anything he had ever seen. It was metallic, but not with the dull shine of gold or silver. Its surface reflected the torchlight in strange ways, as if the metal itself carried a quiet glow. The cube was covered in patterns, lines, spirals, and shapes that seemed both familiar and unknown. Some resembled Mayan writing, but others twisted in ways that no human language followed. The team gathered around, staring in silence. The jungle outside still sang with birds and insects, but inside the chamber, the world felt still, as if time itself had paused. Rahul reached out, his hand trembling slightly. He touched the surface of the cube. To his surprise, it was not cold like metal but warm, almost alive. For a brief moment, he thought he felt a faint vibration beneath his fingers, as if the cube was waiting to be awakened. "Careful," Lena said, her voice steady but cautious. "This may be something more than we understand." Rahul nodded and lifted his hand away. He did not want to damage what could be the most important discovery of their lives. Instead, he studied the pedestal. Around the base were carvings that looked like stars arranged in patterns. Some matched constellations known to the Mayans, but others seemed out of place, shapes of stars not visible from Earth's skies. The team began to record everything. Lena sketched the walls while others measured the chamber. Rahul, however, could not take his eyes off the cube. There was a sense of purpose in the way it had been placed here, not hidden carelessly but set with care, as if waiting for the right moment to be found. As the day passed and the torches burned low, the team finally stepped back into the sunlight. The air outside felt fresher, the jungle louder, but none of them spoke much. Each carried the same thought: what had they truly uncovered? Was it simply an artifact of a lost people, or was it something greater, something not of this world? That night, Rahul sat by the campfire, the glow of the flames dancing across his face. He looked toward the pyramid, now silent and dark, its shadow stretching across the jungle floor. Inside that stone giant rested a mystery that had waited centuries for human hands to touch it. And though Rahul could not explain why, he felt that their discovery was only the beginning. The night after the chamber was discovered, sleep did not come easily for Rahul or Lena. The sound of the jungle was the same as always, with frogs croaking and insects singing in the dark, but their minds were restless. The strange metallic cube rested inside the pyramid, and its patterns lingered in their thoughts. It was unlike anything they had ever studied before. At sunrise the team gathered again at the entrance. The air was cool, and mist hung over the trees like a blanket. Rahul led the way back inside the hidden chamber, holding a new torch to light their path. The cube still sat on the pedestal exactly as they had left it. Its surface caught the torchlight once more, glowing faintly as if it carried its own quiet energy. Lena knelt beside it and began to study the carvings on its sides. She pulled out her notebook and carefully traced each line with her pencil. The symbols were strange, yet certain parts reminded her of the Mayan glyphs she had studied for years. Some looked like familiar signs for the sun, the moon, or numbers. But others twisted into forms that she had never seen in any Mayan record. "These patterns are not only Mayan," she said softly. "Something else is mixed with them. It feels like a language inside another language." Rahul watched her closely. He respected Lena's gift for seeing details that others overlooked. He had often said that she could see meaning even in what others called noise. Now, as she studied the cube, he saw her eyes sharpen with the same focus that had guided them to the crack in the wall. The other archaeologists walked around the chamber, examining the paintings on the walls. The murals showed tall figures standing under stars, their hands raised to the sky. Some of the figures carried cubes like the one on the pedestal. Others were surrounded by shapes that looked like beams of light falling from the heavens. One of the workers called out to Rahul. "Look here," he said, pointing at a section of the mural. "Do you see the star pattern?" Rahul stepped closer. The painting showed a cluster of stars. Lena joined them, her eyes narrowing. She recognized the group immediately. "That is Orion," she said. The Mayans studied Orion carefully. "But look at this one beside it. That is not a Mayan constellation. It does not match our sky." The three stood in silence. If the Mayans had painted stars that were not visible from Earth, how could they have known them? Rahul felt a shiver down his spine. The mural seemed to suggest knowledge beyond their time, knowledge that connected directly to the cube. Back at the pedestal, Lena leaned closer to the symbols on the cube. She noticed something strange. The patterns repeated in cycles, but each cycle ended with a number. She whispered the numbers as she read them: 3, 5, 7, 11. She paused, realizing what they meant. Prime numbers, she said aloud. Rahul frowned. Prime numbers? Why would they use those? Because prime numbers are universal, Lena explained. They are the same in every language, every culture, every world. They are not tied to one people. They belong to the universe itself. The idea filled the chamber with silence. If the cube was designed with prime numbers, it was not simply a Mayan artifact. It was something meant to speak across all boundaries. Rahul asked quietly, "Do you think the Mayans created this?" Lena shook her head slowly. "I think they protected it. Maybe they were chosen to guard it until someone else could understand it." The team continued their study through the day. Each side of the cube revealed more patterns, some resembling spirals of galaxies, others like flowing waves of sound. When Lena traced them carefully, she noticed that some lines matched musical scales. She hummed softly, following the shapes with her voice. To everyone's surprise, the cube gave a faint hum in return, a low sound that filled the chamber like a living echo. The group froze in awe. The cube had responded. Rahul stepped forward. "Again, Lena. Do it again." She sang the scale once more, and the cube's hum grew stronger. It was not loud, but it was clear. The patterns on its surface shimmered faintly, as though awakened by the sound. The cube was not just a silent relic. It was listening. The archaeologists exchanged glances filled with wonder and fear. If the cube could respond to human voices, what else could it do? Lena placed her hands gently on its surface. "This is why it was hidden here," she said. "It is not a treasure of gold or stone. It is something greater. It needs people who can hear, who can feel, not only measure." Rahul felt his heart pound. For the first time in his life, he understood that the stories told by elders about the pyramids were not just myths. Something had been buried beneath these stones for a reason. And now it had been uncovered. That evening the team returned to their camp. They sat around the fire, speaking quietly about what they had witnessed. Some believed the cube was a gift from ancestors. Others thought it might be proof of visitors from the stars. Rahul listened to them all but kept his own thoughts silent. He was still trying to understand the weight of their discovery. Lena sat beside him, staring into the flames. The Mayans left messages in their carvings and temples. People have studied them for centuries. But this cube, it feels like the final key. We have only just begun to unlock it. Rahul nodded slowly. He could not deny the truth in her words. The symbols, the prime numbers, the sounds, they all pointed to something beyond human history. As the fire burned lower and the night deepened, Rahul lifted his gaze to the sky. Stars filled the heavens, glittering above the jungle canopy. Somewhere among those stars were the same constellations carved into the chamber walls. And perhaps, far away, were the builders of the cube, waiting for the day when humans would be ready to listen. The next morning, the team returned to the hidden chamber with a sense of careful anticipation. The jungle was quieter than usual, as if it too was waiting. Sunlight filtered through the high trees, casting dappled patterns on the pyramid stones. Rahul led the way, holding a small torch. Lena followed closely, carrying her notebook and a set of small instruments used to measure sound and vibration. The cube still rested on the pedestal, perfectly still but glowing faintly in the morning light. Its smooth metallic surface reflected the torch, and the strange symbol seemed to twist under the flickering glow. Rahul felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Every time he looked at the cube, he realized that it was more than a relic. It was alive with purpose, a puzzle designed for discovery. Lena placed her instruments carefully around the pedestal. She explained to the team, "We need to test how the cube reacts to sound. Yesterday, we discovered it hummed when I sang. Today, we will try different frequencies to see if it responds in other ways." One by one, the team tried using the instruments. Rahul struck a small tuning fork, and the cube hummed faintly. Another member tapped a wooden mallet on a stone slab, and the vibration caused the cube to vibrate slightly. The reaction was subtle but undeniable. The cube seemed to resonate with certain sounds more than others. Lena recorded every measurement carefully. "It responds to patterns," she said. "Not just random noise. Look at the vibrations. They are consistent when we match the right tones." Rahul stepped forward. "Then it must be a test. Something was left here for people who could understand rhythm and harmony." As they continued, Lena noticed something new. The cube's hum was not simply a single sound. It contained layers, like chords in music, rising and falling in sequence. When she sang the scale yesterday, it responded in a pattern. Today, she tried a different melody, following the symbols engraved on its surface. The cube reacted immediately, its hum growing louder and stronger. The walls of the chamber seemed to vibrate, not with danger but with energy, as if the entire space was acknowledging their understanding. "This is incredible," Lena said, her voice filled with awe. "It is like the cube is alive, listening to us, guiding us." Rahul leaned closer, placing his hand near the cube. He could feel a faint warmth radiating from it. "The Mayans must have known something about sound," he said. "Or maybe they were taught. Either way, they left it for someone who could use it." The team experimented with different combinations of sound and rhythm throughout the morning. Every time they matched the symbols with tones or sequences, the cube responded. Sometimes it vibrated, sometimes it hummed, and once it even emitted a faint light from its core, pulsing in time with the sound. One of the team members, a young man named Tomash, pointed to the pedestal. "Look at the base. The carvings change when the cube reacts. The stars move slightly, like a projection, though faint. It is showing us something." Lena studied the carvings. She realized that the constellations carved at the base aligned with the vibrations. When the right tones were applied, the stars appeared brighter, and some seemed to form lines pointing outward, beyond the pyramid, beyond Earth itself. Rahul felt a rush of excitement. "It is a map," he whispered. "A star map. But why leave it here? Why wait for us?" Lena looked at him, her eyes wide with understanding. "Maybe we are the ones who were meant to find it? The cube responds to our way of thinking, our combination of logic and feeling. No machine, no alien technology, could do this without understanding the same things humans understand. Music, patterns, observation, and curiosity." The realization spread through the team. The cube was not merely a device. It was a test, a message, and a guide all in one. Its creators had designed it to communicate with beings capable of noticing beauty and logic together. And in all the universe, they had chosen humans to discover it. Rahul and Lena spent hours experimenting. Sometimes the cube hummed softly, other times it pulsed like a heartbeat. Each response revealed new patterns in the symbols, a sequence that seemed to carry instructions, or perhaps questions. The more they experimented, the more they felt connected to the chamber and its mysterious builders. By afternoon, the team had developed a method. Lena would read the symbols aloud in sequence while Rahul played the musical tones on his instrument. The cube's reactions were consistent, almost predictable. The symbols, vibrations, and light formed a simple code. They had begun to understand a small part of it. "This is just the beginning," Lena said, her voice steady but full of excitement. "The cube is teaching us its language. If we pay attention, it will show us more." Rahul nodded. "We have to be careful. There are forces outside who might not understand it. This is something special, and it belongs to those who are ready to learn." Outside the chamber, the jungle continued to hum with life. Birds flew overhead, and the wind rustled the leaves. Yet inside the hidden space, the human team had created a rhythm of their own, one that matched the vibrations of the cube. They were no longer just archaeologists uncovering an ancient artifact. They were explorers, students of a technology older than any human civilization. As night fell, the chamber glowed softly with the cube's hum and light. The team gathered around it, feeling both awe and responsibility. The resonance test had revealed the cube's first secret: it was alive in its own way, waiting for humans to unlock the next layers of knowledge. Rahul looked at Lena and spoke quietly. Whatever this is, we were chosen to understand it. The Mayans left it for a reason. And I think we are ready for the next step. Lena smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the cube. The stars are waiting. And so is the universe. With careful notes and recordings, they closed the chamber for the night, leaving the cube on its pedestal. Outside, the jungle seemed ordinary, but inside, the pulse of history and discovery had begun. The resonance of human curiosity had awakened something ancient, something meant only for those who could see beyond the surface of the world. The next morning, the jungle seemed even more alive than before. Sunlight streamed through the tall trees, illuminating the stone steps of the pyramid. The air was fresh and smelled of earth and moss. Rahul led the team back to the hidden chamber. The cube rested quietly on its pedestal, its metallic surface reflecting the sunlight as if it had waited for them to return. Lena carried her notebook and the small instruments they had used during the resonance test. She felt a sense of anticipation she had never felt before. Each day brought new discoveries, but today, she sensed that something important was about to be revealed. The team gathered around the pedestal. Rahul spoke first. Yesterday we discovered the cube responds to sound. Today, we need to see if it can tell us something new. We must pay attention to every vibration, every movement, every glow. Lena nodded and began tracing the symbols on the cube. She hummed the scale they had discovered yesterday, following the patterns of the carvings. The cube responded immediately, pulsing with a faint light. Slowly, the glow intensified, and the hum became a soft melody that seemed to echo through the chamber. Then something unexpected happened. Tiny beams of light appeared at the base of the pedestal. They stretched across the floor, forming lines and shapes that hovered above the stone surface. Rahul leaned in closer, squinting. "What is this?" he whispered. Lena's eyes widened. "It looks like a map," she said. "A star map, like the constellations carved on the walls, but different. This one is moving, shifting as the cube responds to the sound." The team gathered around, trying to understand what they were seeing. The map showed clusters of stars, some familiar, some unlike any constellation on Earth. Lines connected the stars, forming pathways across the sky. Some paths extended beyond the visible constellations, pointing to unknown regions of space. Rahul ran his fingers along one of the glowing lines. "These paths are precise. Someone wanted them to be found. But why? And why here?" Lena studied the symbols on the cube again. The Mayans left clues in their carvings. They were protecting something, not creating it. This map is part of a message. It was hidden for people who could understand patterns and resonance. The cube is teaching us, just like a teacher would guide a student. One of the team members, Tomash, pointed to a cluster of stars in the map. "Some of these stars are too far away to see with the naked eye. How did the Mayans know about them?" Lena shook her head. "Maybe they didn't. Maybe they were taught. Maybe someone or something left these instructions for them to protect until humans could understand them." Rahul felt a chill run through him. The hidden chamber, the cube, the map, it all pointed to a plan far greater than anything they had imagined. Humanity was part of a story older than the pyramids, and now they had discovered the beginning of it. The cube pulsed again, and the map shifted. New lines appeared, connecting stars to a pattern that resembled a spiral. Lena traced the lines carefully. "This is a guide," she said. "It shows where to go, not just in space but in understanding." The builders wanted someone to follow the path. Rahul studied the map closely. "And that someone is us," he said quietly. "We were chosen to see this." The cube responded to human sound, human logic, and imagination. "That means humans were meant to follow this map." Lena nodded. "Yes. But it is more than a map. It is a message. The stars it shows are points of interest, places where knowledge or tools might be hidden. We need to understand them step by step." The team worked together, recording every movement of the light and every change in the symbols. The cube's responses were not random. Each sequence of sounds created new pathways, revealing parts of the map that were previously hidden. It was like uncovering layers of an invisible puzzle. As they studied, Rahul noticed something remarkable. The map contained shapes that mirrored the carvings on the chamber walls. The figures reaching for the stars in the murals now had meaning. The cube was connecting the past to the present, guiding humans through a journey that had begun centuries ago. Lena looked up from her notes. The Mayans were not trying to reach the stars themselves. They were guardians of this knowledge. They left it for someone who could understand music, patterns, and observation. That someone is us. Rahul felt a deep sense of responsibility. The hidden chamber, the cube, the map, they were no longer simply discoveries. They were a mission. Humans had been chosen to continue what the Mayans had protected, to follow a path that could change the understanding of their place in the universe. As the sun climbed higher, the team paused for a moment. The jungle outside seemed ordinary, yet they knew nothing about this day was ordinary. They had discovered a map designed for humans, a guide left by beings who understood both knowledge and intuition. The cube had awakened, showing them the first step on a journey that stretched beyond Earth. Lena traced the final lines of the map and wrote in her notebook. "Every star, every path, every symbol is important. We must follow the pattern carefully. The cube is teaching us a language, a way to understand something far greater than ourselves." Rahul placed a hand on the pedestal. "We cannot rush," he said. "The universe is patient. So must we be. Every step we take must be careful, precise, and thoughtful." The team left the chamber for the evening, feeling the weight of their discovery. The cube remained on its pedestal, glowing softly, as if aware that its message had been understood, at least in part. Outside, the jungle sang with life, but inside the pyramid, a secret path had begun to unfold, a path that only humans could follow. That night, Rahul looked up at the stars above the pyramid. They were the same stars the Mayans had observed centuries ago, but now he saw them differently. They were not distant points of light, they were markers, a map of the unknown, waiting for humans to explore. And somewhere in the quiet of the universe, the cube's builders were watching, confident that their message had reached the right hands. The morning sun filtered through the dense jungle, casting golden streaks on the pyramid's worn stones. Rahul led the team back to the hidden chamber, their steps careful and measured. Each person felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The cube rested on its pedestal, quiet and still, yet its faint glow hinted at hidden power. The team knew that the day would reveal something important. Lena set her instruments on the floor around the pedestal. She traced the symbols on the cube, humming softly in the scale they had discovered during the resonance test. The cube responded immediately, vibrating gently and emitting a low hum. The glow at its base brightened, sending lines of light across the floor. But this time, the beams moved differently. They began forming letters, shapes, and patterns that seemed more like language than maps. "Look at this," Lena said. "The cube is trying to communicate." Rahul leaned closer. "Can we understand it?" Lena studied the symbols carefully. "It is a message hidden within layers, just like the patterns we saw before. Each vibration, each sound, unlocks a part of the message. It is like reading a book in steps." The team gathered around, watching as the beams shifted and shimmered. The shapes slowly formed words that none of them had seen before, yet something in their structure felt familiar. Rahul felt a strange recognition, as if he could sense meaning without fully reading it. Lena hummed again, following the sequence of symbols. The letters glowed brighter, forming a complete sentence. "It says," she whispered, reading aloud carefully, "to those who listen, who see, and who imagine, the path is revealed. Knowledge waits for those ready to continue." The team was silent. The message was clear, yet mysterious. It spoke directly to them, acknowledging that humans had the ability to understand, to notice patterns, and to imagine beyond what others could see. The cube was not just a tool. It was a teacher. Rahul took a deep breath. The Mayans were guardians. They were protecting this message for someone who could understand it. And we are the ones who found it? Lena nodded. Yes. But it is more than words. Look at the shapes forming behind the letters. They match symbols in the murals, the stars in the chamber. This message is connected to everything the Mayans left behind. It is part of a larger design. The team spent hours exploring the patterns. Every sound, every sequence of notes, revealed more of the message. They discovered instructions hidden in the vibrations, sequences that suggested steps to follow, puzzles to solve, and signs to observe. The cube was guiding them, teaching them patience and attention. At one point, Tomash pointed to a small projection that appeared near the pedestal. "These shapes are like tools," he said. "Not objects, but concepts. Look at this one, it is a circle with lines extending from it. Could it represent energy?" Lena examined it carefully. "Yes, it could. And this one looks like movement, flow. The cube is showing us principles, not physical items. It is giving knowledge, teaching patterns and relationships, not just directions." Rahul realized the importance of this. The message is not meant to be taken lightly. The builders wanted someone capable of understanding deeper ideas, not just looking for treasure. They trusted humans to follow the path carefully, with thought and respect. As the day passed, the beams of light shifted, forming new sentences and diagrams. Lena read them aloud, while Rahul and the others recorded everything in notebooks and sketches. The message spoke of observation, of using intuition along with logic, and of recognizing connections in the world that others might ignore. "This is incredible," Rahul said. "They left a guide for those who can think and feel at the same time. That is why the cube responded to sound. Machines cannot do that, only beings who notice patterns and harmony can." Lena smiled. The message also emphasizes patience. It is not showing everything at once. We must understand one layer before moving to the next. That is why it waited for us to find it. We were ready. As evening approached, the team paused. The chamber glowed with the cube's light, casting long shadows on the walls. The murals seemed to come alive, as if the figures were watching the humans carefully, acknowledging that they had begun to understand. Rahul felt a deep sense of connection to the past, to the Mayans who had protected the secret, and to the mysterious builders who had created the cube. He turned to Lena. "Do you think the Mayans knew who the future finders would be?" Lena thought for a moment. Perhaps they didn't know exactly, but they knew that a species capable of imagination and understanding would come. They left the message for those who could notice it. And humans were ready to see it. The team worked late into the night, following the instructions revealed by the cube. Each discovery built on the last, forming a growing understanding. Patterns became maps, symbols became principles, and the message unfolded layer by layer. The cube was a teacher, and the humans were its students. Rahul felt a mix of excitement and responsibility. The message was not just for knowledge, it was a call to action. The cube was guiding them to a path that stretched beyond the earth, beyond the pyramids, and into the universe itself. Humans had been chosen not by accident, but because of their ability to see, listen, and imagine. Before leaving the chamber for the night, Rahul carefully closed the entrance to preserve the hidden space. Lena recorded the final sequences of the message in her notebook. The cube's glow dimmed, but it seemed satisfied, as if acknowledging that its lesson had been received for the day. Outside, the jungle was quiet under the stars. Rahul looked up at the sky, feeling both small and extraordinary. The hidden message beneath the pyramid had connected him and the team to something much larger than themselves. Somewhere in the universe, the builders of the cube had waited for humans capable of noticing patterns, of imagining possibilities, and of listening carefully. The stars above seemed brighter, more alive, as if they, too, recognized the humans who had begun the journey. Rahul felt a sense of purpose that he had never experienced before. This was not just an archaeological discovery. It was the beginning of a mission, a responsibility to continue what the Mayans had protected and what the cube had revealed. Lena sat beside him, her notebook filled with symbols and notes. "We are ready for the next step," she said quietly. "The message is clear. We must follow the path, carefully, with understanding. The cube will guide us further when we are ready." Rahul nodded. "Yes. And we will be careful. This is more than discovery. This is trust, given to us by those who came before." The night grew deeper, and the jungle around the pyramid became a sea of shadows and whispers. But inside the hidden chamber, light, sound, and knowledge had begun to flow. The forgotten message was no longer forgotten. Humans had awakened it, and the journey into the unknown was only beginning. The next morning, the air in the jungle was thick with humidity, but the team felt an unusual tension. Rahul and Lena led the way to the pyramid, their senses sharper than ever. Something had shifted overnight. The cube's message was growing clearer, but a sense of observation lingered in the air. As they approached the hidden chamber, Rahul paused. "Something feels different," he said quietly. "We are not alone." Lena nodded, her eyes scanning the trees. "I feel it too. We must be careful. The knowledge we are uncovering is valuable. Others may want it, and not for the right reasons." The team entered the chamber with caution. The cube glowed faintly on its pedestal, responding to their presence as if aware of both excitement and tension. Lena traced the symbols, humming softly to test the resonance. The cube vibrated in return, pulsing with energy, but this time, the hum felt more urgent, almost like a warning. Rahul studied the light carefully. "It seems the cube is alert. We are being watched." Outside, among the dense jungle, figures moved silently. They were explorers from other research teams, but not all shared the same intentions. Some had heard rumors about the discovery of the pyramid and the hidden chamber. They had come with tools, technology, and curiosity, but also with impatience and desire. One of the rival observers, a man named Arlen, spoke to his group. "The humans inside the pyramid are close. We must act quickly before they understand the cube fully. We cannot let them unlock more secrets than us." Arlen's team did not have the cube's advantage. Machines could scan, analyze, and measure, but they could not interpret its resonance or follow the subtle patterns that humans understood. Rahul had realized this when he and Lena tested the cube with sound and observation. Their rivals might have power, but they lacked intuition. Back in the chamber, the humans continued their study, unaware that eyes watched from the shadows. Lena traced more symbols and hummed again. The cube's glow increased, projecting lines across the floor, connecting to new constellations and hidden instructions. Rahul whispered, "We must hurry, but not recklessly. The cube teaches patience. We cannot let fear or competition guide us." As the day progressed, the rival group drew closer. They attempted to enter the area quietly, but the jungle betrayed them. A snapping branch or rustling leaf alerted the humans inside. Rahul signaled the team to be ready, and Lena immediately used the cube's vibration. She hummed a sequence that created a subtle pulse through the floor, a warning signal only they could detect. The rival team hesitated, confused by the unexpected reaction. Their scanners detected nothing unusual, but the humans in the chamber understood the meaning instantly. Rahul said, "They do not understand. They cannot read the message. We must protect the cube, not by force, but by our understanding." Lena nodded. "The cube has chosen us. It will guide us, but we must act with care." Hours passed. The rivals attempted to probe the pyramid, testing the walls and searching for entrances. The humans, guided by the cube, anticipated their movements. Rahul instructed the team to document every new symbol and projection, and Lena continued to hum sequences that activated protective vibrations, subtly discouraging intrusions. In the late afternoon, a new projection emerged from the cube. It was unlike anything they had seen before, a network of stars forming points of interest far beyond Earth, some connected by lines resembling pathways or routes. Lena traced them carefully, her voice calm but excited. "These are locations the cube wants us to know about. They are markers for discovery, and the cube has revealed them now because we are ready." Rahul studied the projection, feeling both awe and responsibility. This is what the rivals cannot see. They rely on tools and machines. We have intuition, creativity, and observation. The cube communicates with humans, not instruments. Outside, Arlen's group grew frustrated. They could see the humans entering and leaving the chamber, but no instrument could reveal the cube's secrets. One of his assistants said, "It is useless. Their understanding is beyond what we can measure. We cannot take the cube without knowing its language." Arlen clenched his fists. "Then we wait. They will make mistakes. We only need patience." Inside the chamber, the human team continued to work, unaware of the precise movements of their rivals but feeling the tension in the air. The cube seemed to sense their caution and resilience, pulsing gently as if to encourage them. Lena traced new patterns on the floor, following the beams of light that formed intricate sequences. Rahul said quietly, "The cube is teaching us a lesson. Knowledge is not taken by force. It is earned by attention, patience, and understanding. That is why we succeed where others fail." The projection shifted again, showing a set of instructions in the symbols that suggested a journey. It was not just about discovery within the pyramid, but beyond it, beyond Earth itself. The cube revealed points, sequences, and signs, but only humans could interpret the subtle connections between them. As night fell, the jungle became darker and shadows deeper. The rival team lingered, cautious but determined. They could not understand the cube, and the humans inside knew it. Rahul and Lena shared a silent understanding. They were not merely protecting an artifact, they were safeguarding a responsibility, one that had been entrusted to humans for a reason. Rahul whispered, "We must continue tomorrow. The cube will guide us further when we are ready, and no one else can follow us the way we can." Lena smiled faintly. "They may have technology and numbers, but they do not have insight. That is why the cube chose us. We are prepared for the path ahead." The human team rested that night within the chamber, the cube glowing softly on its pedestal. The murals on the wall seemed to shimmer under the light, depicting figures reaching for the stars with hands open and welcoming. Rahul realized that the humans in the room were part of the same story, connecting past, present, and future. Outside, the rival group retreated into the shadows, frustrated but still watching. They could not understand why the cube remained silent for them, why their machines detected nothing beyond ordinary stone and metal. They had strength and tools, but intuition and imagination were beyond them. Inside the pyramid, Rahul and Lena made final notes before closing the chamber for the night. The cube hummed faintly, as if satisfied with their progress. Rahul placed his hand on the pedestal, feeling the subtle warmth of the metal. "We are ready," he whispered. "The path is clear. and we will follow it together. Lena nodded, looking at the cube with reverence. The stars are waiting for us, Rahul. And we will reach them. The hidden chamber settled into quiet once more, holding the cube, the murals, and the message safe. The rivals had shadows and impatience, but the humans had understanding, patience, and insight. In the end, the cube's guidance would only follow those who were ready. And humans, with their unique ability to see, listen, and imagine, were the chosen ones. The morning sun rose over the jungle, casting golden light on the pyramid. Rahul and Lena led their team back to the hidden chamber, hearts filled with purpose. The cube rested silently on its pedestal, its metallic surface glowing faintly as if welcoming them. The journey they had begun days ago had changed everything. They were no longer merely archaeologists, they were guardians of a secret that had waited centuries to be discovered. Inside the chamber, Lena traced the symbols on the cube once again. She hummed softly, following the sequences that had guided them so far. The cube pulsed with energy, brighter than ever, projecting a new set of symbols and lines onto the floor. Rahul stepped closer, feeling the warmth radiate from the cube. "These symbols are different," Lena said, her voice calm but filled with excitement. It is as if the cube is revealing the final part of its message. The projections formed shapes that reminded them of constellations, but there were also new patterned circles, spirals, and lines that seemed to connect Earth to distant points beyond the stars. Rahul studied them carefully. "This is the next step," he whispered. "The cube is showing us our path, not just on Earth, but into the universe." Lena nodded. "It has always been waiting for humans to understand it. Others cannot see it, cannot feel the resonance. Only we can." The team spent hours observing and recording the new projections. The cube responded to their combined understanding, each sequence of sound and attention revealing more. It was no longer just a test. It was a guide, showing humans how to follow a path that had been prepared long before their time. Rahul placed his hand on the cube, feeling its subtle vibrations. "It is teaching us something important," he said quietly. "Not just knowledge, but how to think, how to connect, how to notice what others cannot. That is the human spark. That is why we were chosen." Lena traced the symbols again, humming in the pattern of the constellations. The cube's glow increased, sending lines of light upward, as if pointing to the stars above. "The message is clear," she said. "Humans were chosen not because of strength or numbers, but because we imagine, we observe, we understand connections others might miss." Outside the pyramid, the jungle was alive with birds and the rustling of leaves, but inside, the chamber held a quiet energy. It was as if the universe itself was watching. The cube had waited for humans to reach this moment, to understand that discovery was not just about finding something hidden. It was about recognizing patterns, creating connections, and using knowledge with care. Rahul turned to the team. "The cube has shown us what it means to be human. It has shown that curiosity, patience, and imagination are our greatest strengths. We are ready to take the next step, to follow the path beyond Earth." Lena smiled, her eyes reflecting the glow of the cube. "And we will do it together. The cube has guided us here. It will guide us further, as long as we remain attentive and thoughtful." The rival team, which had watched from the shadows in previous days, remained at a distance. They could not understand the cube, and no machine could unlock its secrets. They had tools, numbers, and scanners, but they lacked the insight, the creativity, and the patience that the cube required. Humans had been chosen because of their unique abilities, the qualities that made them special in the universe. As night fell, the chamber glowed with the cube's energy. The murals on the walls, once silent and still, now seemed to shimmer with life. The figures reaching for the stars mirrored the humans in the room, guiding them toward understanding. Rahul felt a deep connection to the past, to the Mayans who had protected the secret, and to the builders of the cube who had entrusted it to humans. Lena whispered, "This is more than a discovery. It is a responsibility. The universe has placed a spark in humanity, and we are the first to recognize it." Rahul nodded. "The path ahead is vast, but we are ready. We have the ability to see patterns, to listen, to imagine. That is our strength. That is why the cube chose us." The team spent the night in the chamber, recording every projection and vibration. They understood that the journey was just beginning. The cube had shown them the first part of the path, but the universe held more challenges, more discoveries, and more lessons. Humans had been given the opportunity to step into this larger story. As the first light of dawn touched the pyramid stones, Rahul stepped outside. He looked at the stars above, connecting the dots that the cube had projected inside the chamber. Somewhere beyond, in the vastness of space, points of light waited to be explored. And humans were ready to follow, guided by curiosity, insight, and imagination. Lena joined him. "We have unlocked the message," she said. "The cube has chosen us to continue what the Mayans protected. It is our task now to follow the path, carefully and wisely." Rahul smiled. "Yes. And we will. The human spark is our guide. It is what makes us special. It is what will allow us to explore, understand, and connect with the universe in ways no one else can." The hidden chamber remained, holding the cube, its messages, and the murals. But humans had unlocked its first secrets, proving that they could see what others could not, understand what others overlooked, and imagine what others could not dream. Outside, the jungle hummed with life, but Rahul and Lena felt a quiet thrill. The stars above seemed closer, brighter, more alive. The cube had revealed that humans were not just part of Earth, they were part of a larger universe, capable of understanding, discovery, and wonder. Rahul turned to Lena one last time. "We have begun something extraordinary. We are the first to understand the spark the cube sought. Now, it is up to us to carry it forward." Lena nodded, her eyes reflecting both determination and awe. "The human spark will guide us. We are ready to step into the future, to follow the path, and to discover what the universe has hidden for us." The cube pulsed one final time, softly and steadily, as if approving. The hidden chamber, once silent, now held the energy of understanding, connection, and the promise of what was to come. Humanity had awakened the spark, proving that curiosity, imagination, and insight were the keys to stepping beyond the known, into a universe waiting to be discovered. And so, beneath the ancient Mayan pyramids, the human journey had truly begun.